Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm JR with known SEC propaganda revealer, hater, whatever you want to call him, Zack Guggenheim. That's right, this entire episode is all about the SEC and the wild propaganda that they have been spewing in their first 2 days of SEC media days. I know. Indiana, they canceled their Virginia game. Maryland is a new athletic director. Pete Nakos is out here putting out rankings of teams who are spending the most money in NIL and college football. There's plenty of other things to talk about, but we love to hate on the SEC. So we're going to do that today because we have some SEC lies to get to. So if you like exposing SEC propaganda, like, subscribe, and comment your biggest lie that you have heard from the SEC media day so far. Also leave us a 5-star review in the podcast platforms if you're listening over there. You can follow us on Twitter, X/X, TikTok, Instagram, all those places at the Big Ten Huddle. You can also catch the Big Ten Huddle every Monday through Friday on podcast or live on YouTube at 9 p.m. on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights. Become a member, subscribe to our basketball channel or on YouTube, and buy some Big Ten Huddle merch, all right? We have some anti-SEC merch in there now, all right? We're leveling it up. You're going to love it, and we appreciate you being here. So now let's get to the guy that feels like SEC media days are like Christmas for laughter. It's Zack Guggenheim. Zack, have you enjoyed the laughter from SEC media days?
I mean, they're a bunch of insecure people, man. Like, what? I with all due respect, and I've given the SEC their props, they've lost 2 national championships. They haven't even been in the national championship game in the past 2 years, and you'd think that everybody thinks that they're the old Big East without Miami. It's like, we got to defend ourselves, boys. What are we doing? What? I mean, it's like, we have the best conference. Oh my gosh. It's like, shut up. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, and we've got them believing that the team that currently has the worst odds in the conference, or second worst, last time I checked they were worse. They may have changed by now. It was a couple weeks ago. But the team that has one of, if not the worst odds in the conference to win, their quarterback is out here saying, we're going to go win the national championship because I came back. And it's like, how delusional do these people have to be? Anyway, we're going to get into it. Zack, don't you worry. We are going to get into it. The music's still playing. I don't know why it's still playing.
It's that smooth jazz. It's the smooth jazz that accompanies lies, deceit, and propaganda.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
No,
all right,
not our lies, deceit, and propaganda. The SEC's.
The SEC's. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. We need like a soundboard or something for whenever we get SEC propaganda, you know? Like,
we need like evil music when we talk about the SEC.
We do. That's the next level up for this podcast is music and bumpers and everything else. That's what we need. What we do need is our listeners. So let's see who we got here. Trojan Fight says first, thanks for being here, Trojan Fight. Billy Tuesday. Hey, JR. Hey, Zack. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, Billy.
Tuesday. Awesome. Captain Optimistic and Lieutenant Dream Crusher. Zack, you ready to crush some SEC dreams today?
I feel like we need a t-shirt where the two of us are like animated, and like one of us has you have the Captain Optimistic shirt on and I have Lieutenant Dream Crusher. I think that could be a wildly successful t-shirt for maybe us.
I was gonna say it had to be something that we make for only ourselves, because as I learned trying to put out anti-SEC merch and apparel, the SEC does not like it if you try to use their logo, especially if you're trying to use their logo. Got an email, and it was on the store for maybe a day, and I got an email saying cease and desist. Don't use this, and any merch you sell needs to be gotten rid of. Thankfully, I didn't sell any merch, but it's only on there for a day. But I was like, oh, geez.
Wow. So you're big. So we're big enough that we're getting threats from the SEC?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I got an email from Southeastern Conference, and they were not happy with the logo that was used. So
I feel like we've made it then.
Yeah, they're paying attention. They know the Big Ten Huddle, and they know the power that we wield.
With an iron fist.
Trojan Fight. It gives us an LOL. Appreciate it. Look at that. We have Brenton here. To be fair, people, though IU fans were delusional last summer. Well, that's true. I believe more in Kirk Cinetti than I do Diego Pavia. So sue me.
That's fair.
I think that's the thing that makes it delusional, right? And that's the thing that makes it so crazy it happened. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. We got Michael here. Truth hurts. Michael says, appreciate you being here. And Billy Tuesday says, JR flaunts rules. Love it. All right, Zach. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. Zach and I have each found 5 pieces of SEC propaganda, outlandish takes, whatever it might be. News, whatever you want to call it, that we have found from SEC Media Days that we are going to share with you. We'll go back and forth. I have mine first. I'll kind of talk about it for a little bit. We'll get Zach's reaction. But since we're doing 10, we are going to have to go through these pretty quick. So if you guys have any thoughts on them, please do put them in the chat. We do want to interact with you, but we can't stay on one for like 20 minutes because, time and stuff. People don't want to listen to 3-hour-long podcasts. Who would have thought? I would, but other people don't. So it is what it is. All right. SEC piece of propaganda, number 1, Zach. Greg Sankey. It's only best that we start with him, right?
Yeah.
So Greg Sankey, basically, I'm not going to read you the entire quote. It's here next to me if you want to read it. But basically, he's talking about who would have thought the selection committee and the parameters that they need to abide by in their selection process. He says, considering an improved strength of schedule. If I had a bingo card, those words would have been on it for this whole SEC Media Days meeting, Zach. Considering an improved strength of schedule analysis and introduction of a possible, wait for it, new strength of record metric, which consistent with my comments after our spring meetings, we view as the right direction for CFP focus. Zach, Greg Sankey thinks the selection committee is doing it wrong, but he also wants the 5+11 model because I guess he thinks they're going to pick more of them to be in, but he also wants to change data. This is the entire thing I've been saying all this time is these SEC honks are out here quoting data like, oh, look at this data. This is what it is. If I suggest to change the data to look at something else, people say, oh, well, you're a homer. But Greg Sankey doesn't, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, that's a great idea, Commissioner. Yeah, we should totally do that. The other piece of this too, Zach, you know what the SEC was doing for years to get ahead? They were paying players.
Yep.
Yeah. Who's to say those bagmen aren't going to start finding the selection committee? Hey, Alabama could get in over SMU. Alabama could get in over Indiana. How much? What's your price? I'm serious here, Zach. I know some people think it's crazy, but I'm serious. The bagmen going to the selection committee, I think it's the new form of cheating that the SEC is going to start doing.
Yeah, I mean, corruption, I've said it for a long time. The more subjective you get, the more susceptible you are to corruption. That's why I don't like that ESPN owns rights to conferences or the playoff, because you open yourself up to corruption and everybody has a price. So I don't love it. I do find the irony that Greg Sankey wants to improve multiple metrics that already overtly favor the SEC.
Well, the strength of record doesn't. Do you want me to read off the strength of record?
Well, strength of record, You're right. But strength of schedule.
I was going to say, Cranky Sankey doesn't like the strength of record, okay? So, the strength of record, number 1 was Ohio State. Of course, the playoffs, catapulted them up to that. Number 2 is Oregon. Number 3 is Notre Dame. In that whole scenario, there was only one Big Ten team in, the top, what was it? There were 2 Big Ten teams in the top 5. Top 6. 7, 8, 9, top 9. There were 2 Big Ten teams in the top 9. But in strength of record, you've got Ohio State up there, Oregon up there, Notre Dame up there, Penn State's number 6, Indiana's number 8. Indiana had a better strength of record than Tennessee. Go figure. This is what I was saying all last year was like, if we're going to use strength of schedule, why are we not using strength of record? Do the results on the field not matter? Is what's going on the field not matter? Or is it just whatever recruiting rankings say, because we acquired more talent, quote unquote, talent, then that obviously makes us the best team out there. Yeah. Well, guess what? If we started having data for who has the best coaches, the Big Ten would be even. or better than the SEC and a lot of this data stuff. But of course, you can't have data for coaches. You just have it for players. So it is what it is.
Yeah. He's just, on one hand, Sankey he's advocating for his league after they have been, quite honestly, underwhelming the past 2 seasons. But we got to call him out on his crap, because this is crap. Like, it's 100. It's not like the crap that I uttered last episode where I was flummoxed.
Oh crap.
Yes. But
Zach, you going to make a pick? Oh crap.
I went back and watched that episode today, by the way, and I lost it at that moment. I was like, I don't care that I looked like an idiot.
I need to go back and clip that.
That'd be a good YouTube short.
Yeah.
But this was crap, just literal crap. I mean, he's just trying to do anything he can to stump for his league, which again, I can respect it to one degree, but also like, you're wrong.
I mean, stump for your league, sure. Like, stick up for your league, like, when it matters, but they have no leg to stand on right now.
They don't.
You're talking about changing entire metrics at this point. Oh, well, the metrics don't favor us well enough. Zach, there were only 2 SEC teams that had better strength of records than Indiana last season. No wonder Sankey's going after this. No wonder Cranky Sankey is having a hard time with the strength of record. The strength of schedule favors him because it still incorporates recruiting rankings by the end of the year, which is completely ridiculous that you would incorporate recruiting rankings. You want to incorporate draft like analysis? Sure, I get that. But recruiting rankings? That's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's stupid. I just don't. He is so insecure because he knows that the Big Ten's coming. And
that's what makes them look so weak, right? Is they just look so insecure. They look like they're fighting such a battle right now that they know they're not going to win. Yep. So, Brenton, you are exactly right. IU had the number 8 strength of record last year. Exactly. It was better than every single SEC team other than 2, which is fine by me. Georgia and Texas did have good wins, I guess, last year. But
but the results bore out in the playoff, right? Like, Tennessee got massacred. Texas lost to Ohio State. Notre Dame beat Georgia. Like, we saw the results on the field, which, by the way, that's the point of a playoff. You actually play the games. So, like, let's actually take account of what happens on the field. Let's not play these hypotheticals, Greg.
Cranky.
I was Cranky Sankey. That was good. I like that.
Thank you. Trojan Fight. This was exactly what I thought of too. I didn't say it yet, but it's exactly what I thought of, and I commend you for this. He says some of these metrics are controlled by ESPN, who, wait for it, owns the rights. Like, they own the rights to the SEC. You literally have Sankey getting up in front of don't you have like a phone line to call it? Like, hey, if we could get the strength of record metrics adjusted a little bit. No, he's got to go to the stage at SEC Media Days to talk about it. It's just, it's crazy. Philip says bagman or bad man, maybe synonyms. They're synonyms, all right. They're synonyms. Oh boy, we got so many comments on this. Everybody, great comments.
We probably need to move on though, unfortunately.
Just great comments. You guys are killing it in the chat there. Keep them coming. I'll try to pay attention and bring them up as we go. All right, Zach, this was a comment we got in our post. People wanted to talk about. Go ahead.
Diego Pavia is back at Vanderbilt to do one thing. I came back because I want to go 9-3 or 8-4. Oh wait, no, that's not what it says. I came back because I want to win a national championship. Wait, hold on. So who does he play for again?
The team with the worst or second worst. Like I said, I need to check odds to win the SEC.
Yeah, and they lost to Georgia last year, right?
Many teams. They were 6-6. They lost to
right, but the team in Georgia they lost to was Georgia.
Oh, Georgia
right?
State. Georgia State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Belt. Fun Belt, as some might call it.
Yeah, and Georgia State went like they won the Sun Belt last year, right?
No.
They won at least 6.
They were one of the worst teams in the Sun Belt.
Okay. What are we doing? Like, know your role, like as The Rock would say, know your role and shut your mouth. Okay? Just Teddy Roosevelt had a great quote, like, speak softly and carry a big stick. Like, if you want to be good, like, and you want to do those things, prove it. Okay? And he better back it up, which he ain't gonna do, because that Vandy schedule, let's just take a look at the Vanderbilt schedule here for a minute. So they have Charleston Southern. That should be a win. At Virginia Tech, that's going to be a tough game. At South Carolina, loss. Yeah. They play Georgia State again. That's not a gimme. They play Utah State, probably a win.
I think they'd pay to get out of that one, you know?
I know, my gosh. And then at Bama, LSU, Missouri, at Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, at Tennessee. Okay, so like how many definite wins do they have? Like maybe 4?
I mean, if it's Vanderbilt, yeah, but like you can't even count Georgia State as a definite win. So,
right.
Like this is the equivalent of some and I'm not trying to, disparage you all here. I like this team and I want this team to do well, and they have done well before, but like this is like Northwestern coming out, having a 6-6 season for the first time in, forever amount of years. It's not forever. They did have a 7-win season at one point, but like not exactly like Northwestern, because at least Northwestern went out and won 11 games, a couple times in somewhat recent history. But that's like Northwestern coming out after going 6-6 and being like, yeah, we're coming back to win the national championship. It's like, no, you're not. It's not happening. You need to build up so much more than one 6-6 season, right? It's absolutely asinine.
I will buy a Diego Pavia jersey if they win the national championship.
I will wear a Diego Pavia jersey for an entire year on the podcast if Vanderbilt wins a national championship.
Oh my gosh, you jumped the shark there with that one.
I mean, it's not going to happen. So
6 months later, we're both wearing Diego Pavia shirts. Yeah. This is a low point. Big Ten Huddle gets canceled. Imagine Vanderbilt is the reason why our podcast gets canceled. That would be terrible.
Yeah. Well, the SEC almost canceled it because of our merch, but.
Oh man, yeah. I think this runs the gamut of the SEC insecurity, though. It's like they're totally like they can talk about improving and wanting to be like, even if he said, "Hey, we think we can build upon this and even maybe make a playoff run." And that's not saying that you can't win a national championship. That's just saying it's the reasonable next step to say, "Hey, we made a bowl game. We beat Bama. Let's take a next step." I don't think that's terrible, but to talk the trash he did about the Big Ten, which he, by the way, has never beaten a Big Ten team despite having played in the Big Ten for a year. And then to say we're going to win a national championship at Vandy after going 7-6, like, come on, dude.
How long does the we beat Bama this praise go on for? Texas barely lost to Bama 2 or 3 years ago, and they got ranked after. I've never heard of a team almost beating another team, and they got ranked after it happened. Like, this entire idea of like, well, we beat Bama, or we got close to Bama, or we almost beat Bama. It's like, no, like people thought Brian Kelly was a top 3 coach in college football after he beat Bama one time. Guess what? That was the one time in his 21-year career that he beat Bama. You know who's beat Bama the very first time he played him? Sherrone Moore. Nobody gives Sherrone Moore any credit, including me, but that's also because I don't give Diego Pavia credit. But at least I'm consistent. I'm consistent about it. We got Diego Pavia over here saying, I'm going to win a national championship. We went 6-6, but boy, howdy, hey, we beat Bama.
Yeah, Sherrone Moore beat Bama with no quarterback and a second-string defense.
They didn't have Mason Graham. They didn't have any other good player. I shouldn't say any other good. They didn't have any of their top draft pick players.
Yeah, like it's like this. Greg Sankey, we can give a hard time because he's just being insecure. This is just straight up delusional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Totally. And Philip's exactly right here. Pavia is going to be like telling his grandkids about this someday. Oh, you never believe it.
Yeah, the worst Bama team in like 5 years.
We beat Bama. Oh, Grandpa, when they had Nick Saban? No, the year after they had Nick Saban.
When Kalen DeBoer didn't know what he was doing with Bama.
But he still had an office. He just wasn't on the sidelines. He still had an office there. Oh, my gosh. I don't know why Diego Pavia has the weakest voice in the world when he gets older. Oh, we beat Bama.
Well, his voice will get beaten out of him by the rest of the SEC this year.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's get to our next one here. A lot of good comments from you guys again. I like this one from W. Last time Vandy was good was when Franklin was there. The same coach SEC fans disrespect Penn State was having. It's just double
facts. Facts.
It is just inconsistencies all over the place. So it's just crazy. All right, next one. Brett McMurphy with On 3 now. That was a crazy thing that happened. I don't know if we ever talked about that. He was listening to Garrett Nussmeier, led the nation in like interceptions last year. Or at least he led the SEC. I don't know if he led the nation. It was a lot of interceptions though. Threw a lot of interceptions last year. But he says, Zach, talking about the SEC, it's the toughest conference in all football. And I think it's pretty evident. Zach, do you think it's evident?
So how do you do against USC?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, hold on. 4-5 in conference, USC.
Yes. Well, they played in the SEC, right?
No, they're about as west as you can get.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna caveat this. Nobody is saying that the SEC isn't a tough conference to play in, and that some of the schedules are really hard. And like LSU had a tough schedule last year. Like, I don't know if it was like the most insane schedule, but the reality is they lost to one Big Ten team and they struggled up until the second half against another Big Ten team. And neither of those Big Ten teams are all that good. So like, which is it? Because yeah, you lost to some SEC teams. You also lost to a Big Ten team that wasn't very good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The next part of this just absolutely kills me. He says, I don't care what anyone says about it. Zach, you also know what he doesn't care about? How anybody plays about it either. I posted it on Twitter. All the losses, all 14 of the losses, the loss to Georgia State, Mississippi getting blown out by Toledo, right? Ohio State beating both Texas and Tennessee, just throttling Tennessee. Like all of these losses, I could show that to Garrett Nussmeier and he'd be like, well, I don't care what anybody says about it. How did you play? How did you play when the SEC teams stepped onto the field and they played against other teams that were not from the SEC? How did Arkansas do? Arkansas got killed. Not killed. Arkansas lost to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was awful. Oklahoma State was terrible last season. And you're going to tell me Arkansas, like, you got the bottom of the SEC playing the bottom of the Big 12, and you want to talk about, we're such a deep conference. No, you're not. You're about to get multiple coaches fired this year because they are all underperforming. They are all getting talent that should make them better than Navy, than Oklahoma State, all these other teams. But they can't beat them. They can't beat them because they have terrible coaches and they don't develop players. It is awful.
Yep. Well said.
Preach, Brandon.
By the way, Texas A&M, who beat LSU, also lost to USC.
Yeah.
So like,
and
again, USC 4-5 in the Big Ten.
Exactly.
Like,
last quote here, and then we got to move on. To play an SEC schedule week in, week out, you don't get any rest. When you go from what we did playing Texas A&M, great team, Zach, Texas A&M, to Alabama, to Florida, like it doesn't get easy. So a learning experience. Zach, how many playoff teams did LSU beat last year? Because they were in the SEC, so they probably beat a bunch, right? 0. They didn't beat a single playoff team last year because it's not nearly as strong as they think it is, right? And you're talking about week in, week out. You got Alabama playing Mercer in November. You have all these teams, about like half of the SEC, because of those stupid rivalry games they have in the ACC. You got all these stupid games being played against FCS opponents. People are railing Indiana right now for playing the 27-28, calling Kirk Kennedy a coward, and I get it. I was on Twitter and I was upset with it too. All right, but I'm not upset with it because I think they got to play good opponents and stuff like that to earn respect. I do think they need to consider that, so they need to play some good opponents at some point. But overall, like, the amount of teams that are playing crap, 3 teams on their schedule, they just spread it out more so it's not all the first 3 teams. Georgia, Mississippi State, Tennessee. Like, there are tons of teams out there in the SEC that are playing 3 crap games too because they have the 8-game conference schedule and then they have the extra ACC game that it's normally some kind of ACC opponent other than LSU. LSU plays Clemson. Great job. And Texas A&M plays Notre Dame. Those are good out-of-conference games. But still, it's only 9. And Indiana gets railed because they only play 9 conference games. Like, yeah, I come at it from the fan perspective. I want to see good football games. I don't want to watch Indiana play 3 crap teams before they play Illinois because I don't think I'm going to learn anything about it. I don't come at it from this. Well, Kirk Kennedy's a coward. Okay, if you think Kirk Kennedy's a coward, that's fine. But go ahead and call the rest of the SEC a coward too because they're doing the same exact thing.
I know we got to move on. I will just say, I can understand Garrett Nussmeier saying this because LSU is a little bit under the microscope. Brian Kelly under the microscope, and to LSU's credit, they do schedule tough out of conference, right? Like they did get on a plane and play USC in Vegas. That was an advantage advantage USC playing in Vegas, and they're playing Clemson, which we'll get to. So, like, LSU does not shy away from tough competition out of conference. But I just, again, read the landscape. Like, you don't have to be this insecure. And I give players a little bit more leniency than coaches and commissioners. But, like, still, man, like, don't talk about how tough the conference is. If you want LSU to ascend, beat the teams on your schedule.
And I'm fine with talking about how, like, the conference, like, some of the conference is tough because I agree. It is the top 2 conference in college football. I think the SEC and the Big Ten are going to fight back to back. Like, I think there's going to be some seasons where we say the SEC had a better season. There's going to be some season where we say the Big Ten has a better season. But the SEC will not do that. They will not say that. Even when it is totally evident they don't win national championships, they don't play in the postseason very well. Like, they went 1-5 in the postseason against the Big Ten. And they're still out here trying to say they're the best conference out there. And it's like, no, you're not. Yeah. It's evident from the games that are being played. Yeah, but anyway, Billy, I love that comment. SEC schedule is weak, as in week bad, in and week out. Love that comment. Great one.
Good.
Great one. All right, Zach, here's your next one.
Yeah. So there has been rumors circulating that Nick Sabin might return to the coaching ranks. You know, Kirby joking here saying, hey, I offered him Will Muschamp's job, but he was overqualified. Obviously tongue in cheek. But some other folks have been speculating that he may be waiting to return back to LSU, which I say, does LSU want to pay a guy that has been bad at coaching for a few years $61 million to buy him out? Because that is the buyout for one Brian Kelly. And I call shenanigans. Because
LSU I was going to say, LSU is hoping that he does what he did to Notre Dame, which is like, hey, there's a lot better jobs out there than LSU, Brian Kelly. Man, you should go start looking at some other jobs. They're really, really good out there.
I'll take the Vanderbilt job.
Yeah, they're going to win a national championship.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that as the SEC is showing cracks, again, they're not tanking, they're not terrible, but as they're showing some cracks, all of a sudden there is a rumor that the coach one of the two coaches that started SEC dominance, the other being Urban Meyer, that there's rumors that Nick Saban wants to get back in the coaching ranks, which, the buyout's concerning if you're talking about LSU, but also like Nick Saban is going to be 74 in October.
Oh, I think he's going to be 75.
Yeah, he's born in 1951.
Oh, okay.
So like he's 74.
Okay.
I don't mean to be like ageist. Like I know Iowa fans think I'm ageist right now, but
hey, you're just consistent. You're consistent, Zach.
Like, I'm sorry if I'm thinking about who I want to hire. I'm not going. I don't care how great Nick Saban is. He is the greatest of all time. There's no debate about that. But how many years left does he have? And like with all the new regulations coming in, that actually would hamstring him if he comes in to like get his program rolling. And so by the time that he can really get things moving, he'll be what, 75, 76, 77?
Yeah.
Like you really do start to lose your effectiveness. Like he would need to really be good about surrounding himself with a great support staff. And like, there's no guarantee that he could do that, especially as he continues to age. So I just feel like it reeks of desperation to me.
Yeah, I mean, and this came from Greg McElroy originally, who said, I've been talking to somebody out there that they think there's a possibility. Like, it just screams like, guys, the guy who saved us and because before Nick Saban was there, the SEC was not a dominant conference. For as much as they want you to believe that they've just always been this dominant conference and everything has always been great, they were not this dominant conference before Nick Saban got there. In fact, Alabama was bad. Alabama had like 2 or 3 different coaches before Nick Saban got there, and they were cycling through them because they were not good coaches. They did not do well there. And the SEC overall was not doing a great job. And it continued to spiral, continued to went down, and then finally they win some national championships. You're right. Urban Meyer catapulted him up there with his, back-to-back, and what was it, 07, 08, or 06, 07?
06 and 08. And then
it was like Clemson. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Les Miles had a super team that still lost 2 games.
Right. But like if the ACC had a Nick Saban or somebody that was able to take that along after Clemson 1, 2, and 3 years, they would have got similar treatment. But they didn't have anybody that did that. Dabo fell off a little bit. He might win it all this year. We'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. And if that happens, then it's like the ACC is being thought of a whole lot better. But it's not because you don't have Nick Sabans growing on trees.
Yep. So. Agreed. So I just thought this comment was hilarious by Hummus Hero.
Go ahead and read it. Read it for the podcast.
Zach has been trying to send Ferentz and Phil Parker to Del Boca Vista to play shuffleboard with Morty Seinfeld. And I'm trying to send Nick Saban there too.
That's an awesome one.
Right off in the sunset.
Yep. Brandon's talking about the SEC crying about NIL. Don't you worry, Brandon. We have more on that coming up. Okay. We got Cranky Sankey, more of Cranky Sankey here. I couldn't resist. He says, on the SEC's 8-game conference schedule, and those who believe it should be 9, like other Power 4 leagues, says that he doesn't believe there's anyone in another conference, nobody, Zach, nobody, in another conference that wants to swap schedules with an SEC team. Zach, I am totally confident that Wisconsin would swap their schedule in a heartbeat with Missouri.
It's just such an ignorant statement. It's so ignorant.
You don't think USC would have wanted to play in the SEC last year? They went undefeated against the SEC. They could have made the playoffs if they're in the SEC, Zach.
Like, did you see Texas's schedule last year?
Yeah, and Texas' schedule was not great again this year. That's being propped up by Ohio State at the beginning of it.
Yeah. Like, I get, like, there are some murderer's row schedules, like, and similar to Wisconsin, right? Like Alabama. Now, Alabama, to their credit, scheduled 2 very hard at the time out of conference games that just so happened to be, not as tough looking anymore at Florida State, Wisconsin. That, like, I give them a ton of credit. And they got to play Tennessee. They got to play Georgia. They got to play South Carolina. But like, not everybody has that schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Tennessee, like, yes, they have Bama and Georgia and Florida. Like, those are tough games. They also have Vandy. No offense to Vandy, but until you prove otherwise, I don't take you seriously. New Mexico State, yawn. Kentucky, okay. Arkansas, they lost to the worst team in the Big 12 a year ago. Oklahoma, who lost to Navy a year ago. UAB, East Tennessee State, Syracuse, who lost a lot of their talent. So, like, okay, I would trade for that schedule if I'm Ohio State.
In a heartbeat, yeah.
Like, I mean, just
Indiana would trade their schedule this year. Everybody wants to crap on Indiana for their 3 conference games. I promise you, Indiana would trade their schedule with Missouri. Like,
it's so. Mississippi State is on par with Purdue. No offense to Purdue fans, but like, they were terrible last year. Kentucky was terrible last year. And you've got a bunch of mid teams in Oklahoma and Arkansas and Vandy and like Florida. I get the DJ Lagway hype. They might be much improved this year, but until they can get past the 7-5 barrier, they need to prove themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, I'm not, this is just, it's just garbage. It's pure unadulterated garbage.
It is. It really is. I mean, you look at this Missouri schedule. They have Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, and UMass as their out of conference. I guarantee you, like, this is completely ridiculous. South Carolina's on here. They have a 13 next to them, so I guess they're ranked 13th somewhere. Alabama's on here. Like, those are really your only super tough games. Texas A&M, you have some believers in them. But Indiana has Illinois, Oregon, and Penn State at Oregon and at Penn State. You're telling me you wouldn't want to play at home against South Carolina and Alabama over Penn State and Oregon? Did you see that Oregon team last year in the regular season? I know Ohio State spanked them and made them look some type of way, but that Oregon team was really good during the regular season last year. Yeah. I mean, they struggled with Wisconsin, but that was about it. They destroyed Illinois. They destroyed tons of teams last year. They were fantastic.
And Oregon might end up having the best offensive line in football next year or this year.
You really want to play Oklahoma, or you really want to play Iowa over Oklahoma, or Oklahoma over Iowa? Like, I know we're kind of down on Iowa this season, but I mean, I guess you are. I'm not super down on them. I'm more wait and see what happens. But like, Oklahoma's about to fire Brent Venables. Iowa fans want to throw a parade for Kirk Ferentz, which is fine. I got no problem with that. I said keep him. I'm not Zach. Okay, don't come after me.
Hey, I'm all for a parade for Ferentz, just in Boca Raton or something.
Just a farewell parade.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. Hey, look at that. Steely Matt reposted the stream. Thank you, Steely Matt. We appreciate that. If you're on Twitter watching there, if you would repost the stream, we really appreciate you doing that. Thank you, Steely Matt. More really good comments. We got to kind of raffle through these a little bit more, though. We really appreciate you all being here and doing that. Zach, I got this tweet because I just love this picture of Brian Kelly sitting here. But what do you got on Brian Kelly?
Yeah, this will be quick. But he's talking about the motivational tactics, and apparently they have bags, punching bags, I'm assuming, in the weight room with Clemson paws on it and 1-0 on screens all over the building. And Brian Kelly said, we've made this a specific goal. Similar to how you made beating USC a specific goal.
I was going to say, was it not a specific goal in years past?
Again, everybody wants to talk about how great the SEC is and how dangerous LSU is. Remember how they went 9-3 with Jaden Daniels under Brian Kelly's watch? Mm-hmm. Remember how they went 9-4 last year? No one's saying that LSU doesn't have talent. I don't think they have as much talent as they did in years past, but no one's saying they don't have talent. But this guy is not a good head coach. Proof. Right in the tweet.
I don't want to say he's not a good head coach. He has gone to national championships and stuff like that. I won't say he's not a good head coach, but he is severely overrated as a head coach.
Yes, yeah. Sorry. He is what, a top 20 or top 15?
He's top 15. I don't think he's top 10 though. I mean, I see people that say, "Oh, he's definitely a top 15 coach." No, I mean, there are less than 15 other coaches that I would rather have in college football right now than Brian Kelly. Yeah. But there's not 10. You know, there's more than 10 though.
It is possible he needs to go to Boca Raton before Kirk Ferentz, though.
Yeah. Blue Wolverine's here. Blue Wolverine, man, I was sticking up for Sharon Moore earlier. You got to rewind after the show. I was sticking up for Sharon Moore earlier. It was a rare feat. So all the YouTube comments that call me a Michigan hater, I was giving you some credit there.
It was kind of a backhanded compliment, though.
Gosh, I'm working here, okay?
I mean, it was a really. I mean, the props you gave to Michigan were just so on point. I thought.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. Can we cut that last part out? Just
no,
cut it out.
No, we can't. It's live.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Lane Kiffin. Oh, Lane. Never seen. By the way, I didn't bring up the tweet of him tweeting that TikTok girl where he said "come to the sip." That was creepy.
Yeah.
I think that girl is like the same age as his daughter, but whatever. Anyway, so Lane Kiffin says, I think it's obvious people aren't staying within that cap. He's talking about the cap and revenue sharing. So I think the whole thing will be, what does that look like? That's what we don't know yet. What does it look like when you don't, and what are the punishments for that? Do you win? And that comes later. Oh, gee, Lane, like it was happening for the SEC for years, where you won and then nobody cared and nobody gave you any business about it, where nobody ratted out on each other. I mean, SEC people have talked about, like former SEC people have talked about this before, where it was like we used to rat on each other and then we figured out, well, if we just all start doing it and don't rat each other out, nobody's going to rat us out and we'll just keep winning like crazy. So Lane Kiffin is very concerned about cheating here, Zach, as I'm sure he was before NIL as well. I don't know. Was he at Ole Miss before NIL for maybe a couple years? I don't remember how long he's been there, but it's completely tone deaf, talking about, oh, these teams are going over the cap, these teams are cheating. It's like, dude, this is how the SEC made their way for years. For years, this is what they did. And now you want to come out and point fingers and act like other teams are. I mean, other teams are doing it. I'm not trying to say other teams aren't. He's right, other teams are doing it. But it's just completely crazy to hear it coming from an SEC coach.
Yeah. Ed Orgeron, Hugh Freeze, like former Ole Miss coaches that were highly implicated in paying
I think Pruitt
players.
has talked about it too.
Pruitt, yeah, like
I remember a interview where Pruitt was like, other people were doing it.
Yeah.
So why not me? And then it was like, well, you just stunk at hiding it.
Yeah. I think the thing that's we're just going to have to get used to is Lane's going to keep complaining about it until he wins a national championship, which is never, by the way. But like all he did last year was tweet about Ohio State's NIL, which was by the rule book, fair and legal. But he kept doing it because he was mad that Quinshawn went to Ohio State, and he was mad that boosters were not ponying up money like Ohio State boosters were. And so it was a double-edged sword. But it was like nobody is blind to what Lane is doing here, which is, how do I get a competitive advantage for me? Which is what he does all the time. And like, I get it, but we see right through you, Lane.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon says it best. Yeah, riding the coattails of Alabama's success while paying players illegally before NIL was legal. I mean, that just sums it up. Like, Brandon, I don't know if I have to say anything else after that. Just like, that's what it was. So, yeah, unfortunately, Brenton Quinshawn did get himself in some trouble. He's gonna have to pay for that. So can't do that. All right, Next one, Zach. Here's yours. I suggested this one to you. So
yeah. So Jackson Arnold compares Iron Bowl to Red River rivalry. Of course, Jackson Arnold was at Oklahoma, transferred to Auburn or to Yeah, Auburn. Reveals Auburn bans red from facility. I think the people here cannot stand Alabama. It's unbelievable. OU Texas is very similar, though. It's not far off. I feel like those are probably the two best rivalries in college football. But if you mention Alabama here, they'll look at you funny. We even have a rule that you can't wear red in our facility at all. If you do, you lose points and have to do up downs and stuff. That sounds really similar to two programs in the North that have a pretty similar hatred for each other. Listen, I'm not going to trample on the Iron Bowl or the Red River rivalry. There is a reverence that I give to those rivalry games. They are, if not top 3 rivalry games, they are top 5. They're phenomenal games with amazing lore, but it just, again, it shows how tunnel visioned SEC players are. Because it's like forget Ohio State, Michigan for a minute. Are you really going to say that these rivalries are better than Army Navy? Or like
USC Notre Dame,
USC Notre Dame,
Minnesota Wisconsin,
any of the rivalries with Iowa, like USC UCLA.
The only thing I'll say about Iowa, and I was talking to an Iowa fan about this the other day, so I feel justified in saying it. Iowa fans, please let me know if you believe I'm wrong, but it is hard for Iowa with how many rivals they have. It's true. To kind of have like one that they just like completely despise and hate, because you got to spread out the hate, right? Nobody has enough hate in their heart for 3 different rivals for them all to be 3 great. I shouldn't say they're not 3 great rivalries. But 3 elite rivalries.
Listen, I might be their biggest rival right now. Just saying.
Yeah, they still have hate in their heart for you.
Yeah, that's fair about Iowa, but my point is like, again, he's a quarterback, he's a player, he's in the heat of it, so I don't give him too much, agita for this, but it does show just how naive some of these players are, and like just say. You could have just said, yeah, the hate is real for that team. Like, and we can't stand them. Like,
or it's one of the best. It's one of the best rivalries in all of college football. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think the stuff like not wearing red in the facility, that's fine. Like, that's what Ohio State does with Michigan. Can't wear blue. Can't say the word Michigan. Yeah. Like, great. It's a great rivalry. Just like, you don't need to say it's the best.
But it just felt like he was like using that as like his reasoning, like, oh, we can't wear red, and people don't like it if we say their name. Ohio State fans have like 16 different acronyms to say Michigan instead of actually saying Michigan. Michigan fans refuse to say the word state in Ohio State. Yeah. Like, you want to talk about people that don't say the other people's name? It doesn't get more than like Ohio State, Michigan, in my opinion, but. Yeah. Whatever. I'm with you. I mean, those 2 rivalries are top 5, maybe even top 3 rivalries in college football. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But to say they're the 2 best above all else, no, it's not true. Yeah. Not true at all. All right. Let's see. What's my next one here? All right. We got 2 left, Zach. 2 left. This one was just insane. Okay. So... this comes from SEC Mike on Twitter, which actually I do like SEC Mike's Twitter. He posts some good stuff. He's that SEC podcast over there. I actually do listen to them from time to time. I think they run a really fun podcast. Anyway, he says Kirby Smart on 9-game SEC schedule. I don't think we saw value in adding 9 more losses to our league last year in terms of the way they picked the playoff teams. If we're going to play a 9th game, we need the right people making the right decisions in terms of who goes in. Zach, why in the world is the SEC fighting for this 5+11 model with 11 at-large bids that are selected by a selection committee that they don't think will do a very good job? Like, that is Tony Petitti's whole thing with the 4+4+2+2+1 model, is he's like, I want the committee choosing less teams because it's too hard of a job for them to go through and choose 11 teams to be into the playoffs. You can still get more than 4. You can still get more than 2, but the SEC wants there to be so much SEC propaganda and so much SEC bias out there that they're banking on trying to get 7 or 8 teams into the college football playoffs, so that way they they get 11 at-large bids. It's completely insane to try and say, well, we need the selection committee to take more teams. And even Kirby Smart said it. I don't have the quote here, but even he said the 5+11 model is what they want. So it's not like him and Sankey just disagree here. Like, to say we need them to select more teams, but they don't do a very good job, and we need to change their metrics, and we can only play 8 conference games because otherwise we're not going to get enough credit. It's like this is stupid.
Yeah, the Big Ten, as much as they have hit some power plays to advance their the conference, they have still thought about the game as a whole in terms of other conferences, as they have thought about the playoff model, as they've thought about the integrity of the game for the most part. Like, I'm not saying that they're a completely angelic and sin-free. That's not my point. But like, they've at least played ball. The SEC is very clear in its intention. They don't care about anybody else. Mm-hmm. They just want the SEC to be on top. And listen, he's saying this about a nine-game SEC schedule. Here's the hilarity of it. That was with an 8-game schedule that all those teams did not get in. And the reason why they didn't get in is not because their schedules were so hard. It was because they lost to teams that they shouldn't have lost to. It's not that hard. So this crap that Kirby is peddling is exactly what it is. It's crap. And
a lot of crap at SEC Media Days, Zach.
Right. Well, it's just like, why? And another way to put it, and I get what he's trying to do, the math of like, well, a ninth game means that we add more losses to the SEC. Sure. Another way to put it is we want another easy opponent. Like, we're not going to schedule, like, we're not going to use that other slot to schedule good teams out of conference. We're going to use it to schedule Georgia State. Sorry, Vanderbilt.
Some of them do. I mean, like we said, like, we do need to give them credit for some of their out of conference games. LSU schedules Clemson, Texas A&M schedule Notre Dame, but it's not across the board. You're correct in that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I just saw Terry's message. Hey, Terry, thanks for being here, man. Been a while. Glad to see you back. And then I also wanted to highlight Michael talking about the Army-Navy game. Said I'm biased for Navy being a former Marine. Michael, thank you for your service. Just want to say that with you there in the chat, talking about that. All right. So I did find the quote on Twitter. Kirby Smart said he likes the 5+11 playoff and 9 SEC games, but is concerned about how losses are viewed in the playoffs. So he does like the 9 SEC games. It's just, like he said in the previous quote, that he just, doesn't want one more game. But he did say, and this surprised me, Zach, he did say 2 conferences are stronger than others. And if you don't agree with that, then you probably just don't know college football. Zach, is Kirby Smart giving the Big Ten some credit here?
At least it's a breath of fresh air, right?
I mean, he didn't say like the SEC is up here and then there's another conference that's right behind us and then everybody else is crap.
Yeah.
He said 2 conferences are stronger. I don't know. Kirby Smart might be becoming my favorite SEC coach.
Well, I mean, he still has 18 and 22-year-olds speeding like crazy. So let's not
fix that. He can just take away their NIL. He can fix that.
Yeah, he can. He hasn't yet.
I will say there's not been one for a while. So
that's fair. That's fair.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, my judgment is.
But I get it. There was like 11 in like 6 months, so it's hard to get away from that.
I'm not giving him credit until there's more of a pattern there. I think you have to. Like, I think if he didn't say that, it just furthers. Like, propaganda only works if at least some of it is true. Mm-hmm. So, like, if he went out there and said, yeah, the SEC is so much better than everybody else, and the only reason why we didn't win a national championship is because the committee hates us, then, like, everybody's going to look at him and be like, you're an idiot. We saw you lose to Notre Dame. We saw the SEC get beat and embarrassed in the playoff. So you have to give some credit. So do I give Kirby Smart credit for speaking truth? Yeah. Do I give him a lot of credit? No, because if he said anything else, like we would just clown him, and so would everybody else. Like I'm not sure. Like the only person that I think would agree with him is Paul Feinbaum, and we know how reliable he is. So that's
he's as married to Arch Manning as an elderly man can be. Zach.
Such a terrible quote.
We need to
Why
find
would
that
you
and clip
say
too.
that? Why would you say? Anyway, sorry.
Philip says, "Was he sober?" That's interesting question, Philip. Yes, we need to get a breathalyzer test on Kirby Smart there for putting the Big Ten and the SEC at an equal standpoint. Which, by the way, I've said this multiple times before. Like, if the SEC would just talk about how the two conferences are close or equal, I would be satisfied, right? One of the reasons why I go so over the top with the Big Ten stuff is because people have gone over the top with the SEC stuff for so long. And you don't fight up by being like, well, guys, let's just be equal. It's okay together, because people aren't going to actually be convinced by anything. You have to go spitting out a ton of facts, a ton of things to actually get people on your side. And thankfully, there are more people on our side right now in college football. But anyway, one more, and Zach, this one wasn't so much bashing the SEC or anything like that, but you did want to bring it up. So Gunnar Stockton, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this was a breath of fresh air. He's a 22-year-old. I think he's a redshirt junior. He's waited his turn. He hasn't even been declared the starting quarterback yet, but he was brought to media days, good representative of Georgia. And he, just as in his interview, he was saying how much he loves Georgia, and that was the place for him, and that he's waited his turn, and that he's excited to represent the university well. Gunnar Stockton got a lot of crap for the way that the season ended. But like, I'm excited to see him play this year, and I'm excited to see how he progresses. Georgia's going to have a really good team again this year. Like, I think that's obvious. And if they do well, it's because Gunnar Stockton has been the right selection at quarterback. So I'm excited to see how he does. I thought he represented himself, his university, really well at media days.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, like Gunnar Stockton, if there's somebody in the SEC that I do kind of root for, it is the guy like Gunnar Stockton, right? Because he does come in with not the highest, rating in the world, and he is just going to go out there and try to win games for his guys. Like I said it before, like I kind of like Stetson Bennett a little bit, right? Like he was a walk-on, and he went out and he won 2 national championships, and he was just, he kind of had that like, underdog mentality the entire time. And that's the part about Georgia that I do kind of have some affinity for, is like, Kirby Smart's not going to start the guy that just has the highest, recruiting ranking. He's going to go out there and start the guy that he thinks is the best one for his team. It might be Gunnar Stockton this year. We'll see. They do get a lot of guys with really good ratings, but they aren't always the ones starting. So.
Yep.
All right. I said too many nice things about the Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, Zach, that concludes the SEC portion of this part of the podcast. Anything else SEC-wise you want to get to before we get to segment 2 of the episode?
I feel like we need to stop and cleanse our souls and get to the Big Ten.
Yes, we do. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this. If you're on podcast, if you're on YouTube, don't go anywhere. We will be back with our second segment. If you're here on podcast, we're going to end it here, but we will be back tomorrow to talk about our Big Ten Media Days preview. That's what we're going to do here in just a moment. So stick right with us. I'm going to put the graphic up. It'll be a couple seconds, and then I'll come back right after that. Zach, anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
Nope. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. It's Zach and I, as we are going to get you ready for Big Ten Media Days. Less than 1 week away, we will have you covered for Big Ten Media Days with coverage available here on YouTube on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night. So instead of doing our long episodes, or we do 2 episodes in one, we will just do the coverage of Big Ten Media Days each time that night. That coverage will be posted the next morning on podcast as well. So if you listen over there, you can get it there, covering everything notable about what we hear, what is said. So if you're excited about college football, about Big Ten football season closing in and fall camps are less than a month away, consider subscribing and liking here on YouTube, commenting with your thoughts as well. If you're on a podcast platform, please do leave a 5-star review. It really helps the channel, the podcast, and everything grow. Follow us on Twitter/X, TikTok, and Instagram at the Big Ten Huddle. You can catch the Big Ten Huddle every Monday through Friday on podcast or live on YouTube at 9 p.m. on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights. Become a member, subscribe to our basketball channel as well here on YouTube, and buy something from the Big Ten Huddle merch store. It's below using the links there. And now here's the guy that somehow made UCLA fans mad because he drafted Nico Iamaleava. Zach, you just can't stop making fans mad. Congratulations.
Listen, I can't help that people can't understand what we were trying to do.
I feel like I put it pretty clear in the
You did.
thing.
And then people are like, why would you put Nico there? And I'm like, well, because I don't know any sure things at UCLA. And then people were ripping me.
I did have one guy point out the tight end. The tight end would have been a good one to pick.
Yeah. And that's fair. Like, that's very fair. But like, someone was coming after me because he was like, you need to do your homework on UCLA. And I'm like, I did my homework. And the guy was a troll. There's another UCLA fan that I just actually need to. I apologize to him on X, and I apologize here. I was fed up with the troll, and I then went after the second guy, and that was on me. I'd ask you to forgive me for that. I've set my responses now on Twitter where if I don't follow you or you don't follow me, I'm just not going to get the notification. I'm sure people get mad at me for ghosting them now, but I'm just...
Well, you're not ghosting them. You can still see their stuff. You just don't get a notification when somebody with an account that has 15 followers and their only goal is to, be stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about this. I'm like, I don't understand the people who their purpose in life is just to make people... like, just to say stuff about people online, like, to be antagonistic. Like, we can debate all we want. That's fine. But, like, he called me like, that I was trying to carry myself as intellectually superior. I was like, dude, I'm just telling you what we were trying to do. And you're questioning my integrity. You're questioning my work ethic. Like, yeah, of course I'm upset. Like,
yeah,
get out of here. So I'm not mad. I don't think UCLA fans are mad at me. I just think it was a troll that's stupid or being. I don't want to call him stupid. I don't want to be intellectually superior. But I like trolls are.
No,
dumb.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Stop acting stupid.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny. You had people commenting like, "Oh, I can't believe you took Nico," and it was UCLA fans. It was like, okay, who do you want him to take? Like, don't get me wrong, UCLA has good players this year. It's not like they're like a crap team or something like that, but he is the highest profile player on the team. And that's one of the reasons Deshaun Foster went after him, because he is experienced and as a high-profile player. But anyway, we're going to get into all the Big Ten Media Days stuff. Should be a good episode. Dave says, I thought the show was going to be you guys going on for like 5 seconds and then saying the SEC sucks and end the show. Oh, no, don't worry. We went on for a full hour, more than we wanted to with the SEC. But I guess not more than we wanted to, more than we planned to. We want to go. We want to bash the SEC as long as we can. So no worries there. Philip is rooting for a UCLA Coach Media Days gaffe. Should be fun. I felt bad for him last year, man. I was there.
Yeah.
It was like, don't get me wrong, it was hilarious too. I'm not trying to say I didn't laugh. It was hilarious. But it almost felt like he got up there and he was like, "Oh, we have to give a speech." Like,
Deshaun
nobody told me. Like, the SID for the school should have made sure he was aware. Like, that's on the SID. That wasn't on Deshaun Foster.
Deshaun owned that beautifully, though. Like, he brought out a hat the next day with, we live in or we're from LA, and like he owned it. Like,
well, and you should have heard him in the breakout session too. Like, one of the reporters because in the breakout sessions, you're there for like 30 to 45 minutes. Coaches are 45. I think players are like 15 to 30, something like that. And so you have just kind of reporters come up the entire time. The only guys that don't are like Ryan Day, Sharon Moore, probably James Franklin this year, Lincoln Riley, where people kind of camp out there. Everybody else, you kind of get reporters who come up for 5 minutes, ask a couple questions, and then head out. And that's kind of what Deshaun Foster got. But I went over there and just sat and listened to Deshaun Foster because the dude was super cool, and he was owning it. He was like laughing at himself. He was like, yeah, guys, I had no idea I was supposed to give a speech. He was like, I thought I was just supposed to go out there and answer questions. And then everybody else is giving speeches, and I'm like, I guess I got to say something. We're from LA. Here we are. So he was cool.
Good on him.
Really cool. Yeah,
good on
he
him.
Was really cool. Philip says we need a live basketball show. Yeah, we do need to do that again at some point. So, yeah, a lot of comments here in the chat. Thanks everybody for being here. Fight on. Natty says welcome, or what's good, gentlemen? What's good? Thanks for being here. Max is late, but he's joining. Thanks for being here, Max. The Penn State guy says you should invite guys on that have an SEC podcast and debate them. That would be entertaining and bring both sides more followers. Collaboration. That's an interesting idea. I haven't thought about doing something.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
Well, and we'd have to be more civil in our debate.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll try to be this. I can be the more civil one.
Yeah, you can be the mature one, Zach. I'm not gonna be mature.
I'm older, so.
Yeah. All right. Hey, we do have some fun stuff to talk about. So before we talk about media days, I did want to bring this up because I felt like this was kind of crazy that we heard this from an ESPN analyst talking about the Big Ten. Dan Orlovsky came out, and he was on a show with Paul Feinbaum. I thought Paul Feinbaum was going to explode when Dan Orlovsky said this, but he was asked point blank, and you could tell they were joking and laughing, so they thought he was going to say something about like, oh yeah, the SEC. They asked him point blank, will the SEC have more playoff teams in the Big Ten this season? He said, there's 5 teams from the Big Ten that I feel very confidently in making it. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, and then the 5th team is probably going to be Indiana or Michigan. Very interesting. Now, I think you Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon are the locks for me. I think Illinois, you're going to need to see more of the good, close games kind of stuff that they did. I think the schedule is favorable for them. I wouldn't say they're a lock, but I feel good about Illinois and their potential to make it as well. I would add in Washington. Mm-hmm. As much as we give a hard time to Iowa, Iowa does have a chance to get there. They have home games against Oregon and Penn State. Like, you steal one of those games at home and you win the games you're supposed to win. You beat Iowa State. Iowa has a chance there. You steal one of those games and you're 10-2. Iowa has a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think it's super likely. I said their ceiling was 9-3, but even if they go 9-3 and they beat Penn State or Oregon, depending on how good those teams are, they have a chance there. But that's my thought. And USC is up there too. I went through and did a schedule thing the other day, and USC does have a more favorable schedule than I think some people give them credit for. Now, I don't think you'll get USC and Illinois both. I think that would be interesting to get both of those teams, but it would be an interesting one. So, long story short, Dave Orlovsky basically said, no, I don't think they'll get the most, and I think the Big Ten will get 5, which was pretty crazy to me.
I think that's more likely than the SEC getting 5. I just wonder how much longer Dan Orlovsky's employed by ESPN, because this feels like the type of thing that can get you fired from that organization. So, Dan Orlovsky, we're praying for you and praying that your job is safe. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you said too many nice things about the Big Ten on ESPN, Dan.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You got a job over here at the Big Ten Huddle. We don't pay, but we're really fun. Okay, so we got, look at this. J-Max Love. J-Max, thanks for being here. He says, good stuff, guys. I share your stuff on my Rivals Stars college football discard. Huskers go 10-2 and make the playoffs. That is right. Huskers were another team that I said early on in the postseason, or not the postseason, the offseason, that could make it. So J-Max, thank you for reminding me about that. I think that Nebraska does have a good shot to make it this year as long as they can win those close games. It's kind of like the opposite of Illinois, right? Illinois has to continue to win the close games that they've been winning. Nebraska has to start winning those close games. And if they do it, at some point they're not going to just keep losing close games forever. At some point when they do that, 10-2 Nebraska this year, it would be a little bit more difficult because I don't think they have that big out-of-conference game. Cincinnati on a neutral field doesn't really do it for me, but 10-2, they would be right there. They'd be a contender.
Yeah. Yeah. J-Max, thanks for sharing stuff on the Rivals board too. The Rival Star Discord. We really appreciate you sharing the love.
For sure. And if you got anybody else is in Discord or anything like that, as always, feel free to share the stuff. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, now I started the discussion of Iowa versus Indiana in the chat. We already had the Indiana-Illinois discussion. I don't know if we need the Iowa.
Yeah. Well, I think there's another discussion happening here too, which is Dan Orlovsky over Josh Pate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we'll have to see which one takes the bid first. It's kind of like recruiting. You can't take both guys, but you take whoever comes first.
But we have no NIL to offer.
Well, okay. Zach, we don't have to tell them that, okay?
You just said it a minute ago. I think it's out there.
They don't listen to the entire episode. They can just listen to select parts. Dave says Minnesota could surprise teams if they beat Iowa. Their only loss is to Ohio State and Oregon. There's a good chance. Well, and you have to consider too, Minnesota gave a really good game to Penn State last year. So it's not, I think a lot of people are writing them off for that Ohio State game because it's at Ohio State. Where is the Oregon game at? Is that at Minnesota or is it at?
It's at Oregon.
It's at Oregon. Yeah, I mean that's going to be harder, but I think it's secondary for Oregon. It's possible, but Drake Lindsay would really have to turn into something,
I think the likelihood of Minnesota going 10-2 is pretty microscopic. And I would also just say if you go 10-2 and lose to Ohio State and Oregon, I don't know if that schedule gets you over the hump at 10-2.
Well, you got Nebraska at Iowa.
You would need Nebraska. You'd need Nebraska and Iowa to be like, you'd need Iowa to win like 9 or 10 games. You'd need Nebraska to be a playoff contender. Like if they're both 8-4 or 7-5.
Yeah.
It's just,
but regardless, I do like Minnesota for the over. They've hit the over in their win total 4 out of the last 5 years. I think PJ Fleck's going to do it again. The dude is just severely underrated all the time. So yeah, love it. Now we got all kinds of suggestions for people that we should get to the Big Ten Huddle. Any other thoughts on Dan here before we move on to the Media Day stuff, Zach?
I'm not scared that I'm going to get replaced by Orlovsky. Unless if you have something to tell me, JR. Am I getting fired?
No. You guys do look kind of similar, though.
I gotta get my hair like his.
Yeah, you need some better hair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
No. Say that your hair's not good, but
there's a reason why there's a reason why I buzz it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Fair. All right, let's get to the Media Day stuff here. All right, so we got 5 Media Day storylines, and this is just kind of going to catapult us into the conversation. We're going to talk about all Media Days here, so there are 5 storylines we're going to kind of go after, but we are going to kind of talk about each. I wouldn't say each team, like we're not going to give each one a segment, but I'm sure most, if not all, teams will be mentioned in us talking about this here. So, Zach, I'll give my first storyline that I'm on the lookout for, and it is, quite frankly, it's at the beginning of the entire thing. Tony Petitti is the last remaining commissioner in favor of the 4-4-2-2-1 model. What does he do coming out? Does he comment on other commissioners with their stance going at the 5-11 model? Does he try to advocate for anybody? I don't think Petitti in the Big Ten, that is not their style at all. They want to advocate to the people behind closed doors, the decision makers. Yep. They don't want to advocate to the press and the media, which I know is frustrating for some people, but at the same time, you also don't want to be the SEC where you are out there looking desperate, right?
Yeah.
But I think some people do want the Big Ten to try to flaunt it a little bit more, right? Like we do have the past 2 national champions. We have dominated the playoffs the past 2 years. They want to see some more of that flaunting, but at the same time, it's just not really what the Big Ten does. Your thoughts overall on Petiti and the model and everything else?
I think ever since Jim Delaney was commissioner, we forget the years where who was the guy that took over for him? I can't. Warren. Yeah, Kevin Warren. We forget the Kevin Warren years. He didn't know what he was doing.
I try to forget him every day, Zach.
Yep. Sorry, I brought him back to the forefront.
Okay.
But the Big Ten has always been about making moves behind the scenes that have bigger ripple effects. And the way I would put it is the Big Ten plays chess while everybody else plays checkers, including the SEC. It's just that the SEC has had the power programs and the run for the past, 15 years, that it didn't really matter what type of chess you were playing. You were never going to get the one up on the SEC. The reality is Petiti's probably going to make some reference to it, but not in a way to be like pandering. He might just say a comment like, yeah, like there's some discussions that we're having. And, we think that the 4-4-2-2-1 model could be really good for everyone in college football, and leave it at that. And
which he's not wrong, right?
Yeah.
It is better for the ACC to be in the 4-4-2-2-1. It is better for the Big 12 to be in the 4-4-2-2-1. It's not better for the SEC because they're out here trying to get as much SEC bias as possible. So, I understand why the SEC is fighting for the 5-11, especially when nobody is, cares that you're doing an 8-game conference schedule.
I don't mean to. I'll just make this point really quick.
I interrupt you all the time. You interrupt me.
The SEC got 3 teams in last year. They would have been guaranteed a 4th team in, and that's what Tony Petiti's fighting for. So he's actually fighting for the benefit of the SEC, because not every year you're going to get 4 teams. Right. And actually, if anything, it does. There is a detriment to the ACC and the Big 12 that they're limited to 2. Although I think everybody knows that most years, as the playoff expands, you're still not going to get many teams from those 2 conferences. So it acknowledges that fact, but also it's acknowledging that the Big Ten and the SEC are the better conferences. But listen, Tony Petiti was hired because he was a former TV executive. He knows how to play the game. And the playoff contracts and all that's being written by TV executives, not by football people. Mm-hmm. And so he is going to operate like a TV executive, which means you're not going to talk about this at a media day. You're going to talk about this where pen goes to paper, which is why he is the best commissioner for this era of college football.
What was Greg Sankey before he was the SEC commissioner?
That's a good question. I'll research that.
I know. So he went to New York, and then he went to Syracuse. So he started being commissioner in 2015. Yeah, if you can find that, let me know, because I am curious what he was there. But yeah, no, I mean you make a great point. Like this is the world that Tony Petiti has come from. It's one of the reasons why the Big Ten wanted to go with a Tony Petiti type, because they saw the issues with Kevin Warren and what he was doing behind the scenes with the contracts and everything else. Like this is what the Big Ten wanted, and overall it fits the culture of the Big Ten better as well. The SEC is out there. They're trying to say anything and everything they possibly can. The Big Ten has always moved quietly. The Big Ten has always, exuded confidence as much as they possibly can, even when they shouldn't have exuded confidence, even when the conference was not necessarily doing its best. But that's just the way the Big Ten operates. So the Big Ten media days are not as entertaining, I guess you could say, as the SEC ones, but I don't think they necessarily have to be, right? Yeah. Like, you don't necessarily want guys going out there saying ridiculous stuff. I do envy the SEC in some ways of, some of the coaches doing some of the crazy stuff. Like, as much as I rag on Lane Kiffin, like, he is pretty entertaining. Like, he does say a bunch of stuff and get a lot of laughs. But it's just you don't get that from Big Ten coaches because they're too professional.
Yep.
Brett Bielema does it some, but I don't think Brett Bielema ever makes a fool of himself.
No.
So.
Just Sankey was interesting. He was the director of intramural sports at Utica College as he earned his master's degree. And then after his master's, after he did a 1-year internship at the athletic department of Northwestern State, he was hired as the compliance director there. And he also coached golf. Then he joined the Southland Conference in 1992 as the doing compliance work there and became the commissioner. And then he became the associate commissioner in the SEC in 2002. And then he became the commissioner. So
from Southland to SEC to been at the SEC for over 20 years now.
Yeah. So he has been in athletics his entire career and in compliance and like high upper management leadership and governance, which makes sense. Like he has done a good job of advocating for his league. He is not a TV guy, which actually means that he is he is behind in this one.
I would say he's done a good job advocating for his league up until this year. I think it's been too much, and I think he's become a bit of a laughingstock in some
That's
ways,
fair.
Right? I mean, that's why he gets Cranky Sankey, because he's advocating far too much, and he's overcompensating for what was a down year in the SEC.
Yeah.
The past 2 years really were down years.
Yeah.
So
Terry
asks us, do we like the return of the Bison? You heard that the Bison returned at Indiana?
I did.
Zach?
I started another comment about the Bison. Max Ellis. Max Ellis, Big Ten Huddle, avoiding the actual hot topic today. Indiana bringing back the Bison mascot announced earlier today. Listen, I am a mascot guy, and I am all for it. I think I'm just confused as to why it's a Bison.
Well, I mean, it was a Bison first years ago. I don't know why they chose a Bison years ago, but that's what it was before. And then the suit got too hot, and people were, getting overheated, so they had to stop doing it. But now they have ventilation, so we're good. We're ready to go.
Nice. The Bucknell, where I do ministry, they are also the Bison. So I'm all for it. I love mascots as long as it's not corny.
There it is. Bison's on the state seal.
That is okay. Then I'm even more for it now. I'm a huge mascot guy. As long as it's not lame. If it's like a really bad looking Bison, then I'm like, get it out of there. But honestly, actually the best thing is if they got an actual Bison to run out. Like they've got Bevo and
the live animal stuff.
Yeah. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. They frown on that nowadays, which is unfortunate. Yeah. We need more live animals in college football. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, your first storyline is that James Franklin and how he's handling his expectations.
Yes. And I feel like that's been a big talking point. James Franklin folds under pressure. James Franklin folds under pressure. And the reality is they are the favorite going into the Big Ten. A lot of people doubt that they're the favorite, doubt whether they should be the favorites, but they are. And with good reason. They return the most talent. They have the most experienced quarterback who I think does have the biggest upside, regardless of what you think about him. And the big question is, how do they handle that pressure? Just like, how did Michigan handle the pressure? How is Ohio State going to handle the pressure? And so I want to see just how James Franklin interacts with the press and with the media. Like, how does he look? What does he say? I want to get any tells of how he's been handling all this pressure all off season, because this is the first year, I think, in his tenure where he has, his team has been the team. Like, a lot of people talk about Ohio State, but they're talking about the potential of Ohio State. A lot of people are talking about Oregon, but they're talking about the potential of Oregon. People are talking about Penn State because they are the sure thing in the Big Ten. So they're not one of three. They're not one like a team that's below Ohio State. they are expected to compete to win the Big Ten, to win the Big Ten and be a national championship favorite. How is James Franklin actually preparing for that? That's my question.
Yeah, from last year being at media days and seeing Franklin, like Franklin was actually one of my favorite listens. He was another one that I just kind of plopped down and listened to the entire time he was there because number one, he was very truthful in everything he said. I'm interested to see or hear if he is as truthful this year as he was in previous years because that's always what he's kind of tried to do. He's kind of got a bad reputation. Like, what was it last year? I think he was asked a question and then he like left the stage, but that wasn't at media days. That was at something else. So there are some people that have a bad, thought process of him as a press conference and stuff. But overall, I think he does fantastic. I think as long as he continues to be truthful and just very thoughtful with his words and stuff like that, I think you're gonna see him dealing with it very well. But if he's like shorter with his answers this year and doesn't really expand and doesn't get truthful with stuff, or maybe not truthful, but doesn't, like I said, doesn't expand on stuff, then that'll give me some concern. I think that's what I'll be looking for.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Great one to bring up there.
Yeah. What's your next one?
My next one is, Minnesota is bringing, what day is Minnesota? Minnesota is...
It's on my birthday, the 23rd.
There we go. Yeah, the 23rd. So Wednesday, Minnesota's bringing, which, by the way, can we just point out, like, these teams are bringing such better players for this. Like, I'm not trying to be down on the guys last year, but they were, like, young players last year in the Big Ten that you wanted to hear from and have guys bring. This year, they're just going for it. Like Minnesota, PJ Fleck's bringing Coy Parrish this year, a true sophomore. I want to hear what Coy Parrish has to say just in general, but most of all, I want to hear what he has to say about the offense, right? Is he going to be featured on offense? What's that going to look like? How much is that going to look like? Because I don't think he gets enough credit for the opportunity that he has to be a Travis Hunter type of player with playing both sides of the ball. Now, I think it's going to be really interesting if he's also going to be returning kicks and punts and stuff like that, or I think it was punts last year. I don't remember if he returned kicks or not. Sorry, Minnesota fans, if you're in the chat, let me know. But I'm interested just overall to hear what he has to say about the offense, about being more involved, and just one more sophomore that's going to be there. I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith coming as well. It's awesome to me that they're bringing these younger players. Maybe they're not leaders, but we do want to hear from these guys, and I think it's going to be impactful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still a little mad that you took Coy Parrish from me in our draft. But I think that's a no. It was
you had Kerry Brown. You could have taken Kerry Brown. You just didn't do it.
Yeah, because I took Dylan Thieneman and Kamari Ramsey.
Yeah, that's true. Terry wishes that Mendoza was coming. This is the problem with Indiana. Indiana had a bunch of great guys too. I was okay with Mendoza not coming because he can come next year if he comes back. But Fisher, Kamara, Surratt, those are the guys I want to hear from.
Yeah.
So it's like you need more than 3 spots for Indiana. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to take a guy who just came into your program, even though he's projected to be the star quarterback. Fisher, Kamara, and Surratt are all going to be leaders for them this year. Mm-hmm. And I it makes sense why they're taking them and not Mendoza. So, but yeah, I think I am curious to hear Coy's, like, even just how he breaks down the game, what he's excited for, who's excited to play, but then also like how much involvement is he going to have in each part of the team? Like, is he going to be more involved in special teams? Is he going to be more involved in offense? I think that's really great.
Totally. All right. Next one. You got Matt Rule.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same thing every year with Nebraska since Matt Rule took over is what did they do in the offseason to make progress? And particularly what I want to know from him is, did they become more explosive and consistent on offense? How did Raiola, and this is a byproduct of this, does Raiola show up a bit trimmer, looking like he's put in the work? Does he look like does he look locked in? Like, I think that both of those are, I think, in lockstep, right? Like you want to see the quarterback locked in, and I think you want to hear Matt Rule being confident in his offense. That's I think the big question mark I have is what is the psyche and look of the Nebraska coach and quarterback?
Well, you're going to hear from Dylan Raiola too. This is another sophomore that's coming
Yep.
that you wouldn't get in years past, right? So Matt Rule obviously feels pretty confident in Dylan Raiola to be bringing him to Sean Singleton, safety there as well, bringing him the offensive lineman Henry Letowski. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
So I like the picks here for Nebraska, who they're bringing, and most of all, I like that we're going to hear from Dylan Raiola. We're going to hear about Dana Holgerson and stuff like that. That's another interview that I think might not be the biggest interview in the world, but I think you're gonna have a number of people there asking him questions. And you'll be able to hear everything that goes on, and you'll be able to listen to that kind of stuff on YouTube and everything. People recording it. So overall, yeah, Nebraska, interesting spot. Matt Rule, and Matt Rule's another one that I love to listen to, right? Because he's another one that just expands and kind of talks about anything and everything. And we've talked about him. Like he does try to like say too much sometimes, but he hasn't really said anything lately. So I think he's maybe getting away from that. But we'll see. Most of all, I like hearing Matt Rule's perspective, and I think that he's offers some good insight. And so I like when Matt Rule gets to talking. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
My last one, and then we can just kind of go through other players that we're excited to hear from before we get out of here. We weren't going to get out of here without mentioning Ohio State. Ryan Day. Ryan Day is coming in with a more inexperienced team than last year. Obviously, they had players on that team that had started for 3 or 4 years. Ohio State is moving from those players to younger players, but they do have the 2 best players in college football, according to many. Going to be not only on their team, but also at media days. Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs going to be a leader this year. Sonny Styles, linebacker, who's going to be a leader this year as well. Felt like last year you got some good people to start talking for Ohio State at media days, but this year, I mean, Jeremiah Smith's been out here guaranteeing wins against Michigan. He's been out here saying all kinds of things. I did not expect Jeremiah Smith to be that vocal, but based on some of the things he said, I think you get some real firework comments from Jeremiah Smith this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am curious to if we see confident Ryan Day or reserved Ryan Day. Like, I think when he did the awards circuit, you kind of saw more of his personality. You just got to see more of him, and it was like, oh, he's actually a real person when the stress isn't on. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if the national championship win. There's always pressure at Ohio State, so I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, I wonder if the pressure's off. It's never off, especially when you haven't beaten Michigan in 6 years. But I do wonder, what does Ryan Day look like? Does he look like he is excited to be there, joking with media, joking with his players, or is he kind of buttoned up? Because I think that'll give you a window into how he feels about the team, how he feels about the quarterback position, and the experience level. So I'm curious to see how he looks.
Yeah, and just overall how they're handling after the national championship and stuff. I think you learn a lot about a team based on how they're handling it and what they're going through and stuff like that. So, yeah. All right, Zach, any other names of players on here you're excited to hear from? I like who Wisconsin's bringing. Billy Edwards, a transfer coming in, but he's coming in with Ricardo Holman and Jake Renfro as well. Like what USC is doing with Ramsey, Lemon, Page. I mean, there's not a whole lot of guys on here that I'm like, why aren't you bringing them? Like, even UCLA is bringing Nico with them. Like, overall, there's a ton of really cool guys that I think we're going to get quotes from here.
Yeah, I am curious what Nico's going to say. And I'm sure people will ask him about SEC Big Ten comparisons. Mm-hmm. I'm sure people will ask him about what happened at Tennessee. So I think there's just a lot. There's a lot there that we can, I think, tune in to that might be just interesting to talk about.
For sure. Michigan State not bringing Aiden Childs. I was a little surprised by that, seeing a number of other guys come back, but did Aiden Childs go last year? I don't think he went last year.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, actually.
Yes, so I'm surprised by that. Michigan is bringing Max Bredesen. I believe they brought him last year as well. Ernest Hausman and Derek Moore. Even if they didn't bring Bredesen last year, he was still a leader on that team. I don't think there's a ton there. I'm sure Derek Moore will have a lot to say. That's a very confident defensive line group for them. Am I missing anybody here that you're excited to hear from? Antasacco's coming, and Preston Stone, Northwestern.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Altmaier being there with the added expectations that Illinois is a big deal. And then where was it? I think Drew Aller. We talked about Penn State already, but I've actually I've asked Drew Aller a question in person. So he's a fun guy to talk to, and I'm interested to hear him at media days, especially with the pressure that we talked about earlier.
For sure. Yeah, Aller's going to have a lot of responsibility there, talking and everything else. And Damon Williams Jr. coming for Washington, too. Man, like I said, sophomore after sophomore here. That's just really cool that we're going to hear from those guys. Dave asks, are children allowed at media days? LOL. Funny enough, there is a station in Indiana that the owner of the station's daughter or something like that. I'm sure Indiana fans know who I'm talking about. Last year she was at media days. She's like the daughter of, and she's not like super young, but she's younger. I think she's like 12, 13 years old or something like that. And she was there interviewing coaches. So that was kind of cool. But no, there's not really any children. I expected to maybe see some children of the coaches or something like that. But no, there's no children or anything. It's probably one of the more buttoned up but casual events I've ever been to. It was really interesting being there for it. I wish I was going again this year, but like I said, do not have the budget for Vegas trips very often.
It's a lot easier when it's in Indy.
Yeah. And if it was in Indy, I'd go again. But yeah, so. All right. I wish Dante Moore was going, but I'm excited to hear Mateo Uyunglele, Jalen Husky going from Maryland. I like that. Hey, Dijaborme, your guy, is coming from Rutgers.
Yeah, he's going. Yeah, Callie McManus going, and Ian Strong. So
that's a good group for Rutgers. That's an underrated good group for them.
I said this on the Out of the Blue. I was on Michigan's podcast, Out of the Blue, a while back, and I told him keep an eye on Rutgers wide receiving core, and Ian Strong is one of those guys. Underrated group, that receiving core.
Max says, smart move by us, saving money for Dan and Josh instead of the Big Ten Media Days. Thanks, Max. Terry says, are you guys mad Indiana isn't on the schedule? I assume he's saying for Ohio State. I assume you guys want some payback. No, I'm glad they're not on the schedule this year. It has nothing to do with playing them. I don't want to go through trying to pick a game between Ohio State and Indiana with all the with us being Ohio State fans, and then also kind of trumpeting for Indiana last year because that was difficult.
I'm actually kind of mad that Ohio State's playing Illinois because I really want Illinois to do well this year. I'm all on the Burt train, and I've said it, and I will keep saying it unless if the games, the preceding games tell me otherwise. I'm picking Illinois over Ohio State. That's my upset of the year in the Big Ten. And until I see the games and see evidence to the contrary, that I feel that very strongly. So I'm glad that Indiana's not on the schedule, especially in that middle group of games, because that middle group of games is deceptively hard for Ohio State.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for him. Sneaky one there. All right, Zach, anything else on media days before we get out of here?
No, I am excited for it, though. I think it'll be good.
Yep, I am too. So Zach and I will be on Tuesday to talk about media days and everything. We're actually going to turn the Big Jeff's Inside episode on Thursday into it as well. I don't know who I'm going to have Wednesday. I don't know It might be Zach, might be somebody else, might be Jeff for all I know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll have somebody Wednesday next week as well. And if there's any more crazy stuff that comes out of SEC Media Days, I might just put a video out or something. I haven't been putting a ton of videos out in addition to our podcast because it's the summer, but I might have to do something like that. So we'll see. But
nice.
But yeah, overall, thanks for listening, everybody. The Big Ten Huddle has had a spectacular offseason, much better than I would have thought. We grew a lot in the season, and a lot of that is thanks to Indiana fans, Illinois fans, Nebraska fans. We really appreciate all of you being here. We talk every single Big Ten team, and we appreciate you being here. Anything else, Zach?
52 subscribers from 3,000 on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Help us get to 3,000 before the season starts.
For sure. Help us out there. And help us get to 1,000 over on the basketball channel, too. Not utilize the basketball channel as much this summer just because there's not as much off-season content for basketball. But probably starting August time, we'll probably be bringing back more of the basketball content as we gear up for the basketball season as well. So
nice.
That's what we got, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and have a good night. See ya.